Good afternoon, beautiful people. Today we are diving into a massive shift happening in New York City under its soon-to-be mayor, Zohran Mamdani. He's not even officially sworn in yet, and he's already announcing one of the most controversial policy changes New York has seen in years. He's saying he's ending homeless encampment sweeps, so no more tearing down tents, no more clearing sidewalks, no more city crews hauling away mattresses, shopping carts, and cardboard shelters at dawn. Now that sounds compassionate on the surface, but if you've been paying attention to how urban policy actually works, especially in cities already struggling with crime, drug use, and mental health issues, and sanitation, this is one of those moments where the political rhetoric sounds great, but the consequences could be a disaster. Welcome to Nelly Miranda.
Mamdani believes it's inhumane to end encampments and would use involuntary commitment in the rarest of cases.
If you are not connecting homeless New Yorkers to the housing that they so desperately need, then you cannot deem anything you're doing to be a success.
As always, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Okay, so the mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani is promising to end homeless encampment sweeps. He believes that they do not work. He says they destroy people's belongings, traumatize them, and do not address the core issues of homelessness. He claims that out of thousands and thousands of encampment cleared this year, only a tiny fraction of people actually wound up in permanent housing. And in 2024, he said there were 0 connections made.
Mayor-elect says that connecting homeless individuals with supportive housing or permanent housing will be his administration's approach. Not long after Eric Adams took office, there were a number of high-profile crimes committed by homeless individuals, which led to his administration's policy of having the NYPD enforce quality of life violations and break up those encampments, which again, Mamdani says is the wrong tactic.
The issue with the encampment sweeps is that they are simply pushing New Yorkers who are living in the cold to another place where they will live in the cold. In 365 days of 2024, this administration did not connect a single New Yorker affected by these sweeps with permanent housing. That is a failure.
Well, under the Adams administration, the severely mentally ill were involuntarily committed. The mayor-elect says that policy, the involuntary commitments, will occur only in the rarest of circumstances.
Zohran Mamdani's vision is if someone lives in a tent, instead of moving them, the city should offer them a home, supportive housing, rental vouchers, whatever they can get. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, that sounds humane, you're not alone, because on paper, housing first policies look compassionate. It makes people feel good. No one likes seeing homeless people tossed out of a camp and told to move along. But here's the part Mamdani won't discuss publicly. Offering housing doesn't magically solve addiction, mental illness, or the refusal to comply with rules. Housing is not treatment. Housing does not cure fentanyl addictions. Housing does not prevent violence or stop people from turning public parks into open-air drug markets. New York isn't short on compassion. It's short on capacity, and Mamdani is acting like compassion alone can pay rent. As if showing someone compassion will make them go, you know what? I don't think I'm getting high anymore. The former NYPD chief criticized the plan and said, we don't have time for experiments. Watch.
You know, it's an experiment that's been tried in New York City. It's been tried in Los Angeles. It's been tried in San Francisco. It's failed everywhere it's been tried. You know, what's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, keep doing it again. You can't get in front of the camera and say we're doing away with the homeless program under Mayor Eric Adams. I ran that program for years, and certainly not perfect. But one thing you didn't see, like you just mentioned, we were not the other cities. We didn't have mass encampments around the city. So what is the plan? And there's many levels to this plan. It's not just the police department. Where are the beds? Where are we putting them? There's a mental illness involved in this. But you don't have a plan yet. So why would you dismantle the one that is working? It's not perfect, but we weren't a tent city. And I'll tell you what, one thing people fail to talk about is you can't force a homeless person into a shelter. Our shelter system is a mess. You can't force them off the street. It's not that easy. But what is your plan? We are a benevolent society, and I couldn't agree more. We want to get people help. That's what we do. But there's many layers to this system. We don't have beds. Our system in our clinicians is not to take someone off the street, give them a pill, to your point, and put them back out on the street and say, have a nice day. That's not a process. You know, Eric Adams was talking for years about codifying in law or process. What's everyone's responsibility here? Hold their feet to the fire. The NYPD is one piece of it. Clinicians, homeless services, hospitals, state government, city council. Let's fix this.
It's not going to fix a thing. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to be out on the street. They're going to be defecating in public, urinating in public, shooting up in public, and that they take over entire areas of cities when they go back to this dumb idea that has been tried and failed over and over.
It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the city. And those free buses he wants to put out, they'll become homeless shelters up and down the avenues in Manhattan. It's not going to work.
I think this clip really sets the tone for the debate. Law enforcement officials, city leaders, and residents are sounding the alarm. They're calling Mamdani's approach reckless. They're saying he's essentially turning the city into a laboratory for an experiment that's already failed in places like Portland, San Francisco, and Seattle. If you remove enforcement before you build alternatives, the problem doesn't go away. It just grows. Cities that stopped enforcing encampment laws, San Francisco, Portland, Los Angeles, they didn't suddenly solve homelessness. They turned sidewalks into cities within cities. They handed public space over to whoever showed up, and they paid for it with spikes in crime, rampant drug use, and billions of tax dollars spent without visible improvement. And what do you think will happen when word gets out that New York City no longer clears encampments? People will travel. Services attract demand. The city becomes a destination because why not go be homeless in the Big Apple? New York will become a magnet for exactly what it is not equipped to handle.
On the coldest day of the season, we found homeless New Yorkers taking refuge underground, like this woman named Harriet, who told us she needs help.
Nothing is being done.
And they have nowhere to live.
And they have nowhere to live, so they have to keep being. This shelter is supposed to be like some
temporary,
like a temporary place.
Harriet says she doesn't know where to turn, which may be true for many who need to stabilize their lives. Incoming Mayor Zohran Mamdani told reporters that the answer to homelessness is to provide homes.
Connecting those New Yorkers to housing, whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is.
When he took office, Mayor Adams faced an onslaught of high-profile crimes committed by homeless, unstable people. His reaction was immediate.
No more smoking, no more doing drugs, no more sleeping, no more doing barbecues on the subway system, no more just doing whatever you want.
It was both no nonsense and compassionate. Police officers enforced so-called quality of life violations and ended homeless encampments. They were paired with outreach workers to coax the homeless off the streets and into treatment. The severely mentally ill were involuntarily committed.
We said it's inhumane to walk by someone that clearly they can't take care of their basic needs.
Mamdani believes it's inhumane to end encampments and would use involuntary commitment in the rarest of cases.
If you are not connecting homeless New Yorkers to the housing that they so desperately need, then you cannot deem anything you're doing to be a success.
Mamdani talks a lot about human rights, but what about the rights of the people who live and work in New York? What about taxpayers? What about the taxpayers who cannot walk to a train station without stepping over needles or, hell, stepping over homeless people? What about families who don't feel safe taking their kids to a playground because of tents and public drug use? Compassion isn't refusing to enforce rules. Compassion is providing real treatment, real accountability, and real solutions. And that requires balance, not fantasy. Even the outgoing administration admits sweeps weren't perfect. But the answer to a failed policy isn't no policy at all. The answer isn't abandoning public order. The answer isn't turning one of the world's greatest cities into a pop-up encampment festival.
Dave Giffen runs the Coalition for the Homeless.
The only way we're going to solve this problem is by creating enough permanent housing such that people don't have to live on subway platforms and live on the streets. And I'm sorry to say it, but no mayor so far has done a good job.
Tonight, Mayor Adams is defending his approach.
If he's stating he's no longer going to implement a smart policy on our part, New Yorkers are going to see the repercussions of that.
Well, David Giffen credits Adams for moving some homeless into stable housing, but not, he says, nearly enough. He credits Mamdani for taking an approach that he says may be successful.
Ending sweeps without a ready-to-deploy housing system isn't progressive, it's irresponsible. Tolerance without standards doesn't create freedom. It creates chaos. In fact, it creates an ugly city. Be compassionate all you want to, but no one wants to see homeless people and trash everywhere that they turn. So the question is this the start of a humanitarian revolution in New York or the beginning of a public space collapse? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, if honest commentary brings you value, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.